Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. I share powerful stories about family, love, betrayal, forgiveness, and the quiet moments that change everything. If you enjoy emotional storytelling that keeps you thinking long after the video ends, make sure you're subscribed, because this story, it unfolds slowly, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Hannah had always believed that life changed loudly, with arguments, with ultimatums, with decisions shouted across rooms. She never imagined that the moment that would alter her life forever would arrive wrapped in silence and rain. It was a gray November evening in Seattle, the kind where the sky didn't storm, it simply lingered. A steady drizzle coated the streets in silver reflections. The air smelled faintly of wet pavement and fallen leaves. Porch lights glowed against the mist like distant lanterns in a quiet harbor. Hannah stood inside her warm, softly lit home, slipping off her coat after a long day at work. The house hummed with familiar comfort. The heater whispered through the vents. A cinnamon candle flickered gently on the console table. Upstairs, the dryer rumbled. Michael had said he would fold the laundry before bed. Everything was ordinary, safe, predictable. She was halfway to the kitchen when she heard it. 3 soft knocks behind her. Not forceful, not impatient. Just there. Hannah froze. No one was supposed to be coming over. She checked the time out of habit. Too early for packages. Too late for casual visits. The knocks came again. Slightly firmer this time. She opened the door. And the world shifted. Standing on the porch, rain clinging to her hair and jacket, was her younger sister, Claire. For a heartbeat, Hannah thought she was imagining her. They hadn't spoken in months. Not properly. Not beyond a strained birthday message, and an unread text that had lingered unanswered for days. Claire looked thinner. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Her shoulders curved inward as though bracing against more than just the cold. Her eyes, once sharp and fiercely opinionated, now carried exhaustion. There were faint shadows beneath them that no amount of sleep could fix. And in her hand was a small suitcase. The kind someone packs in a hurry. Hannah felt her chest tighten. "Hi," Claire said quietly. Just one word. But it held too much. Hannah's mind raced. 100 questions surfaced at once. Why are you here? What happened? Why didn't you call? Are you okay? But none of them left her lips. Instead, there was only silence between them. The kind that holds history. The kind that remembers arguments. The kind that hasn't forgiven, but hasn't forgotten either. Claire swallowed softly. "Can I stay for a while?" The words were fragile. Not dramatic. Not desperate. But heavy. Hannah noticed something then, something that shifted everything. Claire wasn't asking like someone entitled to a place in her home. She was asking like someone who wasn't sure she deserved it. And suddenly, the old resentment Hannah had carried felt smaller. Less important. Because whatever had brought her sister here, it had already broken something. Hannah stepped aside. "Come. Claire exhaled, a breath she'd clearly been holding. As she crossed the threshold, the scent of cinnamon wrapped around her. The warmth of the house contrasted sharply with the damp chill clinging to her jacket. Michael appeared halfway down the staircase, holding a neatly folded towel. He paused when he saw Claire. There was a flicker of confusion, then recognition. He had heard the stories. He had witnessed the silence between the sisters. He knew there was history here. Hannah gave him a small look. "Not now." He nodded once and retreated upstairs without a word. Claire placed her suitcase near the wall. Her gaze drifted toward a framed photograph hanging in the hallway. 2 young girls. Barefoot. Wind in their hair. Laughing at something only they understood. Hannah followed her sister's eyes. "That was the last summer before you moved," Claire murmured. Her voice wasn't accusatory. Just distant. Hannah remembered that summer too. The beach trips. The late-night talks. The promises to always stay close. Life had other plans. "You must be tired," Hannah said gently, guiding her toward the guest room. The guest room had always been prepared but rarely used. Fresh sheets. Neutral colors. A space waiting for visitors who seldom came. Claire paused at the doorway. "Thank you," she whispered. Hannah noticed the way her sister's fingers trembled slightly as she set the suitcase down. There was more here. Much more. But pushing now would only build walls. Rest, Hannah said softly. We'll talk tomorrow. Claire nodded. The door closed quietly, and the house felt different. Hannah stood in the hallway for a long moment, listening to the faint hum of the heater and the distant rhythm of rain tapping against the windows. Michael came back downstairs. What happened? He asked gently. I don't know, Hannah admitted. She just showed up. Michael studied her face carefully. And she's staying. There was no hesitation in his response. Of course she is. Hannah felt a rush of gratitude, not because she doubted him, but because support, when given without conditions, feels powerful. She's not okay, Hannah said quietly. I can feel it. Michael placed a steady hand against her back. Then we help her. Later that night, long after the house had gone quiet, Hannah sat in the living room with only a lamp casting soft shadows against the walls. She couldn't sleep. Memories surfaced. The last argument with Claire. It had started small, something about responsibility, choices, and pride. It had escalated into old wounds resurfacing. Accusations thrown. Words said in anger. You think you're better than me. You never listen. You always leave. They hadn't resolved it. They had simply stopped talking. And now Claire was here, in her home, with a suitcase. Rain streaked the windows, blurring the world outside. Hannah found herself wondering what kind of storm her sister had walked through before arriving at her door. Upstairs, a floorboard creaked softly. Claire wasn't sleeping either. The next morning, the house felt cautious. Claire joined them at the kitchen table, but spoke little. She wrapped both hands around a cup of coffee as though drawing warmth from it. Michael kept the conversation light. Work. Weather. A story about a coworker's harmless mistake that ended in laughter. Hannah watched her sister carefully. Every time Claire smiled, it faded quickly. Every time she laughed, it sounded slightly forced, as though she wasn't sure she was allowed to feel it yet. After breakfast, Claire offered to help clean up. You don't have to, Hannah said. I want to, Claire replied. That mattered. Over the next few days, Claire moved carefully through the house. She unpacked only half her suitcase. She spent time reading in the living room, but always seemed ready to retreat if the atmosphere shifted. Michael did something subtle, something Hannah noticed but Claire likely didn't. He treated her normally. Not delicately. Not suspiciously. Just normally. He asked her opinion about dinner ideas. Invited her to join a simple card game one evening. Handed her a cup of tea without making a show of kindness. Slowly, something softened. One afternoon, Hannah came home earlier than expected. She stepped inside quietly, and paused. From the kitchen she heard laughter. Real laughter. She peeked around the corner. Claire and Michael sat at the table, a deck of cards scattered between them. Claire's head was tilted back slightly, her smile unguarded. For the first time since arriving, she looked lighter. Hannah felt a strange mixture of emotions. Relief, gratitude, and something she didn't expect. Hope. That night, as she stood alone on the porch wrapped in a blanket, rain misting the air once more, she realized something important. Opening the door hadn't just let her sister in. It had reopened something inside herself too. The past hadn't disappeared. The unresolved words still lingered. But the foundation was shifting. Small gestures. Quiet patience. Shared laughter. These were the first threads of repair. Behind her, she heard the faint sound of Claire's voice drifting from inside. Softer now, steadier. Hannah closed her eyes and inhaled deeply. This was only the beginning. She didn't yet know what had driven Claire to her doorstep. She didn't know what truth was waiting beneath the surface. But she knew this much. Whatever storm had followed her sister here, they would face it together. And sometimes, the most powerful turning points don't begin with confrontation. They begin with a knock. And a door that chooses to open. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter. Part 2 is coming soon, and the truth Claire has been hiding will change everything.